What is Canada? Today, you might call it a country with democratic and multicultural values, and you would be reasonably accurate. However, would that description for Canada still be valid in the 1870s, the 1860s, or even hundreds of years before the 1800s? Would the name Canada have any meaning at all? The study of history is a challenging task as information often comes from parties that had a direct stake in the historical event. And the further back into history we go, the harder it becomes. Oral and written histories can often be lost, leaving historians today with gaps in the timeline. This is mostly the case for the history of the land now known as Canada before European settlers arrived. However, that does not make European history better or more reliable. They often had biased and inconsistent historical documentation. For Canadian history, especially during the colonial period, historians often had a British or American background. One of the most prominent and cited historians of this period is American Francis Parkman Jr. He was one of the most notable national historians in recognition of his talent and accomplishments. For military historians, their job is to pay attention and keep track of specific details to relevant historical military events to expose and shed light on the faux experience of warfare and how these conflicts affect how our world operates today. In Canada, military historians stem from a wide range of amateur and professional historians who either were given the duty to retell the story or were passionate in their specialization and brought forth objective truths of the past. Many of these historians were not Canadian, as Canada struggled with retelling our own tale of our militaristic past. For people like Francis Parkman Jr., because he is not a Canadian historian, his perspective is internationally based. Francis's most notable publication for Canada was Montcalm and Wolfe, which talked about the 7 Years' War involving French Canadians and British Canadians. His perspective on this novel was criticized by many Canadian historians as it contained severe biases against French Canada. Nonetheless, Parkman's work is extremely valuable in understanding the roots of Canadian history. As Canada industrialized, modernized, and spread her influence internationally, so too did Canada's historians. It would be in the 20th century where Canada would extend its hand to participate in global events. The Boer Wars, the First World War, the Paris Peace Conferences, and more. It was time for historians to reevaluate Canada's position.